So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to It's Covered, the insurance podcast, because if you think that insurance is boring, then you are not doing it right. I am Paul.
I am Mel.
So, welcome back. So, as we revealed last time, we do kind of try to record these in chunks. Behind the scenes, just secrets of podcasting leaking out. So, it's been a couple of weeks since we sat here and did this.
Yep.
It's actually been several weeks, and what I find hilarious is that you just pitched me the topic that dropped yesterday. Because It's been so long since we recorded it.
Yeah.
We forgot.
I'm just out of sorts. I'm just worried that, I'm trying to remember what shirt I wore last time because...
Yeah, no, I know. I did do the same thing this morning. Totally the same thing. And I grabbed one shirt. And I was like, wait a minute. I know we're recording today.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure I wore this shirt. So I changed shirts.
There you go.
And then I totally sprung it on you because we know we're going to record this week. But I'm the one that has to drag all the recording equipment around. Mm. And so...
That's right, Quasi.
It kind of becomes whenever I can all, get it collected and bring it down here.
Yeah.
And so, I'm sure that's just got to be constant panic for you. What did I wear last time?
That's
is
right.
Paul gonna drop the recording on me again?
Internet can be mean.
Yeah, I haven't brought up the comments we had on the last video.
Thank you for saving me.
No, there's zero comments. Oh gosh, these things are a lot more fun when we record them in person, I gotta say. Oh goodness. Well, welcome to the show. As you know, we do kind of delve into all sorts of insurance-related topics here, from claims to servicing to we want to get into hiring, into office management and leads and all sorts of fun stuff. We both of us started out in claims, and then we came on to the agency side of things. And so, there's a lot of stuff that we're pretty good at, that we have a lot of training and knowledge in, and some things we're not as good at. And so we do encourage you to join our Facebook group, and that way we can kind of keep the conversation rolling, and we can learn from y'all as well as you learn from us. And so we appreciate it. For those of you who are here every single week, we know you're there. We really do appreciate you, and we thank you for being there. Please do continue to do so. And we would just ask that, for this episode, that you share it with somebody who might find it interesting. And this episode is actually going to be interesting, I think, to more people than just our normal audience.
All right. Because
we are going to explain how people set speed limits. So, how does that work?
Well, are you talking about how the city sets the speed limit, or how people just...
How people just pick their own speed limit? No.
Yeah, exactly. The flow of traffic.
Like, how does a city, a county, or whatever set a speed limit? You researched this, right?
Well, no.
Wait, I thought you were going to do the research.
No, I did not do the research, but I have a lot of assumptions.
Yeah. Okay. So that'd be interesting. So, what do you? What are some of those assumptions?
All right. I think whenever you move into a new area and you go, what's going to be the speed limit on this road, they kind of consider what's around, where are the people going to be going on this road, and they pick the speed that is just on the border of making you go crazy antsy because I got to get to where I'm going, and then they pick 5 miles below that and they set it.
Right. Okay. So just to keep us all like right on the edge of road rage.
Right on the edge, exactly. Because whenever they need to start giving out tickets,
well, yeah,
it's got to be fish in a pond.
Yeah. So we're gonna start with how it's supposed to work.
Okay.
And then there are exceptions. One thing you said when I told you we were going to do this topic today, one thing you said was really interesting, and it's very important for how speed limits are set. And you didn't even realize this is what you were saying.
Right.
What you said was, one thing they could do to just get rid of speed limits altogether is to
not make any straight roads.
Yeah, to make them very curvy.
Very curvy.
Why is that?
Well, because you have to slow down on a curve, and you don't speed past people because you can't pass them. You don't know what's coming up on the curve. And
so that's actually really important. You're catching on to something that is very important to figuring out what speed limits are, and that is that people do not drive the speed limit.
Right.
They drive what they think is safe.
Exactly.
And this is the vast majority of people. I mean, we're talking an extreme minority of people. And the sources I found were like listing this group as like 10, 15% of drivers actively look for a speed limit and follow that speed limit. The rest of us choose our own speed limit and what we think is safe. Now, what are we picking up on to decide what's safe? And I'll say, like, to your point, when I was driving to visit my mom, Google Maps took me off the freeway because there was a bad accident there, and so I started going to these kind of windy roads, and I was going under the speed limit because I didn't think it was safe. There were no cops around. I wasn't scared of being pulled over.
You're not used to the road,
right? But the curviness of the road is one thing that plays into, in our mind, what we're comfortable driving at.
Yeah.
Anything else you can think of? What would cause you to pick a slow speed versus a fast speed?
Other vehicles. I think if I've never
busyness.
been in a place before and I'm just pulling out ahead, I'm gonna slow down.
Yeah. Okay. So kind of the busyness of the road.
Right. Business of the road. Yeah.
So condition of the road is going to be a big one.
Yep.
If it's filled with potholes, we're slowing down.
Right.
If it's a smooth road, the number of lanes.
Correct.
If this is a 6-lane highway, I'm not going 35.
Right.
Because I have 6 lanes to play with.
There you go.
And then there's some aspects of the road that aren't on the road itself that actually play into the psychology of this. Like if I'm driving through cow pasture, big open spaces, I'm probably going to drive faster.
Get past the smell.
Yeah, right, exactly. But if I'm driving through the same condition road, the same number of lanes, but it's through a town and all of the buildings are like right up on the side of the road, the fact that I'm a little bit more cramped in there is going to cause me to slow down.
Right.
And so this is what most people do. And so what the city, the state, or the county, or whatever, whoever's in charge of setting whatever speed limit, ideally, what they should be doing is, first of all, figuring out how fast people are driving in the first place.
Yeah.
Because if everybody's driving a certain speed, they legitimately do not want it to be, 5 miles per hour lower than what everyone is driving, because we're not going to follow it anyway.
Right.
Yeah. And so now those 10%, those 15% of drivers who do obey the speed limit are drastically slowing down, and that is causing change on the road. Now you probably remember this. What's wrong with change on the road?
Well, change on the road is where accidents happen.
Yep, exactly. If everybody's competent driving 70 miles per hour on the road, and everyone's driving exactly 70 miles per hour, we're all going straight, we're all going, the same speed.
Yeah, no change.
And there are no accidents on that road.
Right.
When accidents happen is when there's sudden lane changes. There's sudden stops. That's why we get so many claims what are they? Side swipes and rear ends, right?
Yep.
You know, change, somebody, you know, coming across the line, and causing another person to react drastically.
Yeah.
As long as things are staying the same, you can be going 70, you can be going 80 very safely. And so that's what we want to happen. And so when we set the speed limit too low, all of the law, the people who obey the law, the 10% of us, they slow down and they cause change on the road. And so what they do is they try to figure out how fast is everybody going, and they take the 85th percentile of that, and then round that off. So for those of you who are not familiar with how percentiles work, okay, so you have 100 drivers, you put them all in order of how fast they're going. And so you might have somebody going 120, you might have somebody going 20. Most of the people are going to be kind of in the middle there. But you take driver number 85, however fast that driver is going, and you round it off to the nearest 5. And that's your speed limit. That takes that 15%, that 10% of people who are obeying the speed limit, and moves them right into that meaty part of the bell curve, where, you know, now they're going the same speed as everybody else. Now, granted, not everybody agrees on quite that 85th percentile thing. You know, there are some debates. It needs to be a little higher. It needs to be a little lower. Most of the debate is that it needs to be a little lower. But that's the point, is to get the people who are obeying the speed limit into the middle of the pack. And that way, the vast majority of the people are going the same speed. So ideally, that's what happens. Obviously, you've gone through towns where it's significantly lower than how fast you want to go.
Right.
And anytime you have a process like this, all of a sudden communities and people get involved. So
there's just some areas where you just have more people in the you know, up around the 85%.
yeah, well, yeah. And I mean, you know, right outside of our office, if I mean, literally, if you turn left out of our parking lot, the speed limit is 50. And if you turn right out of our parking lot, the speed limit is 35.
Yeah.
And that's because we work right on the edge of the city limits, where the county has set one speed limit and the city has set the other speed limit. And certainly there are quite a few legitimate reasons why in the city it would be lower. We have, for instance, one thing that makes me slow down, besides the number of cops we have in this town, is just down the street we have like this little parking area right in front of this building, right at the light in town, that is exceedingly difficult to get in and out of without slamming into another car.
Yeah.
And have you, by the way, have you witnessed an accident at that spot?
I haven't witnessed an accident.
I've seen like 3.
Oh, wow.
I mean, we've been here like 3 years, and I mean, I'm averaging like once a year that I'm like, oh, yep, there's another accident right there.
No,
And so,
I've not seen any. I've seen a lot of almost accidents, I should say.
yeah. Well, I mean, and so that's a legitimate reason why, even without the speed limit change, I would be slowing down through town. The fact that we're approaching a light is one of them. You know, if we turn one way, we're dealing with fields and crops and open land. If we turn right, we're getting into town where things are a little bit more crowded. But you also have a lot of other things. You get a lot of times a group of concerned mothers for something coming to city council meetings. Speed limit's too high. You know, little Johnny plays, you know, about 3 miles from this point. He might accidentally trip and fall 3 miles into the street. You know,
Yeah.
we need it lowered. There's, you know, hey, there's a library here. You know, there was once a kid who visited this library, and we want to protect that kid in case he comes back. I mean, it was 20 years ago, so I don't think he's a kid anymore. But but then you have also, there are such a thing as speed traps, and so that the speed limit will be intentionally lowered in order to catch somebody. But a lot of times it's just concerned citizens that think,
don't want to have another pet cemetery.
right.
For all you older people out there.
Oh goodness! So yeah, so and the belief there is that lower speeds equals safer, and that's not always the case. And if you want proof of that, get on the freeway and drive 25, and see how safe it is. It is absolutely true that accidents at higher speeds are more obviously cause more damage to the vehicle. They on average cause more injury to the person. They're more likely to be fatalities. This is absolutely true and must be a concern, especially for us as insurance professionals. But in a lot of cases, making kind of these law changes in order to promote safety sometimes increases the number of accidents, and it's because of that change. Where all of a sudden those people who obey the speed limit are slowing down dramatically, going a lot slower than what everybody else wants to go. And so people are trying to pass, they're trying to get around them, they're getting upset, they're in a rush. It's kind of the same concept as we've seen a lot of studies on these that when cities put in red light cameras, it increases accidents. Because it's directly because if I'm coming up on a yellow light, I'm considering, all right, am I going to have to slam on my brakes? Because if I'm going to have to slam on my brakes, I'm just going through it.
Yeah.
But if I know that this light has a red light camera, it's about to send me a bill, I might slam on my brakes.
Right.
And so we see an increase of accidents. This technology is supposed to help make us safer, and it's actually increasing accidents. And the same thing happens with speed limit changes. And if we do set the speed limit too slow,
there's people that like you said, they drive the speed limit. Not only is it the change that causes that can cause more accidents, but in these areas, they also think other people should drive that speed that they're used to. So they're pulling out from places thinking they have more room than they normally do because they think everybody's going to speed limit. So I have time. No, this guy's coming and you need to see that. Oh, he'll just slow down. He's going too fast anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. People around here go 35.
That's right. That's right. And so he was driving crazy, and that's why you got in an accident. No, you pulled out in front of him.
And that happens here a lot. Like we said, we're on that border between two speed limits, and so I'm always super careful getting out of our parking lot because you don't know whether people are going 50 or 35 because both of them are right. But farther into town, I see this a lot where you're kind of, it's a pretty busy road in a very small town. This is a highway that goes between important places. And so there are a lot of trucks and such, but you're kind of trying to judge things going each way. And in our town has, actually two lights. I was going to say one light, two lights. And neither one of them are in a place where I normally turn out of. So turning out, you're looking both ways and you're trying to judge when am I going to have a sufficient opening. And that closes really fast when people are not driving the way you should be driving. Or it doesn't open like you expect because somebody is going slower than you're expecting.
Right.
And I've had that a lot where you're just like, you're like, oh, okay, this is going to be it. I can see there's a gap behind this car and a gap behind this other car coming the other way, and they're going to cross at the exact time. Why is that car going so slow? Come on. And the cars behind them are catching up to them, and so it's closing the gap anyways. It's like, what are you doing?
that's very frustrating, and it it goes to what you said. I mean, the different drivers and different people and that change, it's gonna cause some havoc.
Yeah, exactly, yes. So that is how kind of the basic procedure on how speed limits get set.
You know what's funny is you would what came to mind when you were talking about the way they set it and the accidents that are caused by people driving slower. You don't get as many hardcore accidents, but there's a lot of medium accidents, and it's funny is just the other day another thing that's like that. It made different subject, but we're talking about with a customer airbags, and airbags are like that. It's you put it in and it's designed to keep you from dying, but there are a lot more injuries in accidents. I mean, just a lot more from airbags, but you don't have that extreme so you have to kind of pick. It's like with the accidents, you'd rather have a lot of little ones than having the major ones.
Right. Yeah. And I know that firsthand. Viewers and listeners might not know that 2 years ago I was in an accident, and this would not have been that bad of an accident. Like, my wife and kids were in the car. The other driver was alone. None of them were injured, and I was fairly seriously injured. Specifically because my thumb was on the car horn, blaring at this crazy lady who ran her stop sign when the airbag came out, and it shattered the bones in my thumb. And so I had to have surgery to get this all hooked back together again. And so if I had just simply moved my hand, I wouldn't have been injured at all. But that's one of those technologies. It's just like, well, his thumb's gonna go, but he might die in this accident, so we're gonna blow. Yeah. That's it. But that's exactly the type of thing, the consideration that happens. As far as insurance goes, I think this is interesting to know, because this provides some insight as to why underwriters might say, hey, you're going to have a higher rate if you have tickets.
Right.
Because, okay, yes, there are speed traps. This is a thing that exists.
Yeah.
But most of the time, if we're getting tickets for speeding, it's because our internal clock of what is safe is high. And that's why you get people, we get calls all the time from people who are in their 60s and have never had a ticket in their lives. And we get the 22-year-old who's about to lose his license over tickets. And it really is a matter of our driving habits. It's not a matter of, normally, has the speed limit been set too low? Yeah. Normally it's a matter of, no, you're just really kind of on the high, perhaps reckless end of this spectrum of people, of how people drive.
Right.
And that's going to, if you get into an accident, you are very likely to cause more damage than somebody who's more in the middle. You are more likely to cause serious injury. Yeah. Because of the way that you drive. And for people who are not sitting in kind of that middle ground, you are more likely to cause change on the road. Yeah. People who speed very quickly cause less change than people who drive super slowly, because no one's getting out of the way of the guy who's going super fast. It's just, they just get pissed off at him for some reason. I don't understand why people get so angry at people driving fast. It's like, are they causing an accident? Did they cause you to slam on your brakes? It's just because you're jealous that they got to work faster than you, isn't it?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
you feel like they're getting away with something that that you couldn't get away with. Is what's going on.
In my younger days, yes, I had a lot of that, and we did deliveries, and we went out of town a lot, and of course, there's a lot of flat roads in Texas, so we're driving on these roads you have young under 25-year-old employees driving these vans, and a lot of flat road in between where we're going, so flying down the road. And I would always get a call whenever I called in from my destination about how many calls I got from other drivers. Okay, because we had the sign on the back that
How's my driving?
how's my driving
Yeah.
thing. So cars are driving the speed limit, which is probably 65 or something, and I blow by them going 90, not swerving, just flat straight away.
Sure.
Straight away. And I'm thinking that the guy's getting behind me because we're going to start like a little convoy thing going because he knows that I'm driving fast. But no, it was just to speed up to see what does that sticker say on the back, because he is driving too fast, and they would call. But it just really irritated them, and they thought I was going to cause an accident by traveling fast straight.
Yeah.
Where it's that's the mindset of people. They don't know about analytics when it comes to accidents and what causes accidents. They just know speed is bad.
Yeah.
It's causing accidents, and
there's a lot of there's a lot of kind of declaring ourselves the road police. When the cops are not around, I shall take care of this matter.
yeah, exactly.
That might actually be an interesting episode. I say to the viewers who are not watching quite yet.
So
But that'd be good. Yeah, that'd be interesting to talk about.
whenever
Since we're gonna do an episode immediately after this one,
we'll just switch.
we'll just start talking about this.
but before we leave the speed limits, a
Yeah.
question in your research of looking at speed limits on roads.
Oh, you're asking me follow-up questions. I'm not going to seem as much of an expert now.
I had to prove this point.
Paul is not as smart as you think he is. He's just very confident. He comes across as a know-it-all, but he knows very little.
Which is why he said, "Come on, we're gonna do an episode. What is it about? Don't worry about it. I got this." But one thing that's always puzzled me is how they come up with speed limits on curves. So, because if there's ever a speed limit that I follow, it's going to be on a curve.
Yeah, and those are the ones I pay attention to.
Yeah.
So
and there's some that I'm going through it, and I'm actually getting scared going, why did they set it at that? Because...
that's an interesting question that I don't know the answer to, and I'd have to do more research on it. But, somehow I doubt in that case that it's, what everybody's doing.
Yeah.
But even so, we normally do curves at a speed we feel safe at.
Yeah.
But there are physics behind how well and the average car can take a curve.
Right, and it's funny because when you said you take a curve, how basically you want to take it whatever feels safe. It's funny because I look at the speed limit and I say that's a safe speed.
Yeah.
And when I get into it, then I go, oh, I need to slow down because that was way too fast.
Right, and I've done the same thing. And I was in this when I was visiting my mom. That's exactly the thought process going through my head.
Yeah.
Is why in the world did they set these things like this? Goodness. Well, with that, we are going to transition over to our next episode, which will probably be on a similar topic. now that we're talking about it. So thank you so much for listening. We do encourage you to share this podcast with your friends, family, anybody who's interested in these insurance topics. And we will catch you next time.